So, you've just finished the Tiger season, and at stage 100, you're rewarded with an Orochi Oni. Wait, hang on. Yeah, we're not talking about the Orochi today. No, we're talking about the other tank on the paid track, the Kari, a Tier 8 Japanese tank destroyer, the representative for the line to come out later this season. Does it bode well for the tank line? Well, let's find out. This is a casemated tank destroyer, meaning it has no turret and a limited gun arc of 12 degrees to the left and to the right. The gun is also able to depress 7 degrees down and elevate 15 degrees up, so you have a decent range of gun movement to aim with, but of course, the enemies obviously do have to be in front of you. But you'd be firing away with a quite unique 127mm gun at tier 8. That does 500 alpha damage every 14.3 seconds, giving you a DPM value of 2100 base, which is low in comparison to like tanks like the SU-130PM and the Scorpion G in terms of relative alpha damage, but not terrible by any means. And yes, it was nerfed from PC too, a pattern we should all be so familiar with by now. But that doesn't mean the gun's bad. I've found it to be quite reliable with its 2 seconds aim time and base accuracy of 0.34. And it doesn't lack pen either. With 252 standard AP pen with 980 shell speed and 298 premium APCR pen with 1150 shell speed. If you are down for some of its HE, you do have 90mm of HE pen with 900 shell speed and an alpha increase of 630. Unlike the mentioned tanks previously, the SU-130PM and the Scorpion G, this tank does have some noteworthy armor to make use of. Nothing insane, but armor that will get you some bounces from equal tier tanks a fair few times enough for me to notice. You even have 1250 HP to play around with and trade when necessary, which is above average for the class and tier. It's not super reliable armor you want to be on the front lines with though, which is why you have decent enough camo to rely on more so than the armor. The concealment of this tank is better than the Scorpion G, but worse than the SU-130PM, so it's a nice in-between at 386 meters base moving and 347 meters base still concealment values. You do have more view range than your steel concealment at base, which is nice, and is on the higher end for tier 8 tank destroyers at 380 meters base view range. Something well worthy to take note of, as the other tanks we've been comparing to only have 360. Already with this tank you have a positive gap between view range and still concealment, which is always great to have at a baseline and something the Scorpion G cannot say for itself. From the gun to the armor and concealment, now to the mobility of this tank. Because it has some armor, it's not super fast, but it tops out at a respectable 40 km an hour top speed, with a decent 18 km an hour reverse speed. With 750 horsepower, the engine gives it a good power to weight ratio of 16.66 horsepower per ton. You can reliably get to that top speed on flats and climb hills at a decent rate with that power to weight ratio, making this thing not feel sluggish at all. Most importantly for casemated tanks though is that traverse speed, which is at a comfortable 30 degrees a second turn rate, which if you're being turned and burned is enough to catch up to most tanks, but good luck against lights obviously. But that's what sitting on the back lines are for. Overall, I think this tank is a nice little package of firepower mixed with decent armor, decent camo, and decent mobility. All around nothing to hate, but nothing to really love except that hard-hitting gun. Somewhat a jack-of-all-trades feel with this thing. So enjoy this tank once you earn it as a representative for the line, and if it's truly representative of what we can expect from the line, then I would say the line should be just fine. Before we get into the gameplay, let me show you what I'm rocking with this thing. Equipment-wise, I went with my usual. Gun rammer, vents, but instead of optics, since this thing got above 450 meters view range with just my commander setup, vents, and food, I went with a camo net to make that decent camo into better camo. Again, 380 meters base view range on a tank destroyer is good enough to allow me to spot for myself if need be. Speaking of camo, a quick look at that will show you that I'm using a skin for this vehicle. And that skin comes at level 37 of the Season Pass. So definitely make sure to equip that for free concealment once you complete the pass and unlock this vehicle. Plus, it's a decent looking skin too, right? My consumables include a premium repair kit, food rations, and a standard med kit. And the 9 perks on my commander are Sixth Sense, Rapid Loading, Steady Aim, Born Leader, Snapshot, Run and Gun, Silent Driving, Situational Awareness, and Camo Expertise. I would recommend a change though if you're making a specific commander for this line. Maybe you don't need to use Run and Gun, instead get Muffled Shot. That's what I should have been using, as with a case-mated tank destroyer, you're not really shooting on the move all too much, and Muffled Shot will help you not get spotted when firing. That's the only real difference I would potentially make, but we'll see if I take my own advice when the line comes out on the 30th, or if I'll be too lazy to change it. Either way, let's get into that gameplay. And here we are on Vineyards. I believe we are bottom tier in this matchup, and I do have a platoon of a Tornvon, which was sold recently, and a LHM TV. Now, it is encounter, so as much as I probably would have gone this way, anywho, I'm definitely going this way after seeing the cap is down here. Definitely want to make sure I can support any team push we have over here, or if they try and get on the cap, I can try and stop them to the best of my ability. Now, immediately we lose an E75. And I don't know what it was about the week that I played this tank, but man, were people just destroying themselves somehow every game. And unfortunately, it was on our team this time. Sometimes it'll be on the enemy team, sometimes it'll be on your team. And already, not even a minute into the match, a tier 8 heavy tank is already dead to a tier 10 tank destroyer. Unfortunate, really. And as well as a standard B is dead to a tier 10 tank destroyer. Wonderful. Alright, now that we're in position though, we can finally get shots on this Pershing, who is pushing a tier 10 heavy tank. Don't know what he's doing, but I think he thought he could get into position before something like a machine would already encroach upon theirs. But little did he know, welcome to the era of speed equipment and fast heavy tanks. Either way, he doesn't make it out alive because I blind fire kill him. And so that is 1 kill down, 502 damage dealt. And now there's a VK over there, but I couldn't pen the side of his turret. He wasn't really the full side, but took the shot anyway. I'm trying to get shots on this E5, who's in a weird position. He's not too far forward because he doesn't want to cross out yet, but he's not far enough back for me to get free shots into. Now this Resilient, who, if you guys know what tank that's from, it's been such a long time since I've seen one, just decides to rush the machine but doesn't get away with it because I helped the machine out as well as my platoon mate. Now another tank tried to do the same thing, and this machine is really causing problems for them, so the E5 decides, well, now's my time to go. And ignore that missed shot. I thought he was going to stop, and I thought I did see him stop for a moment there, but he did not. Now, the machine is dead, and my friend is being encroached upon, so what I'm going to do is help him out. I see that he's targeting the T-103, and that the T-103 is one shot to the Tornvon, which he does then take out. So I shoot the E5, hoping that I can kill the E5 quick enough, and luckily I did shoot the E5 because another E5 decides to shoot him as well. And I saved my friend from dying to 2 tanks YOLOing him. That was a good little example of targeting the right target. Had I shot the T-103, then my friend would have had to turn his gun and potentially bounce the front end of an E5, and then the E5 would have still been on 700 HP when the other E5 shot him, and I might not have been able to reload quick enough to save him from dying to the E5. So shooting the E5 was the right play there. But now it's 10-8, and I'm trying to kill this Vanguard, but just didn't quite get it. And we have the control over the cap circle, and we also have the numbers advantage. But they have basically control over the whole field. Now with 2 kills and 3,000 damage, how much more can we squeeze out of this game, really? Well, our team is going to push on the left, and so I'm not going to look over there because either the tanks are going to be out of my render range, or they're going to be hidden from me with hills, valleys, and buildings. So instead, I'm going to look north, where this Leman Russ is, and where my light tank platoon mate is spotting. and I'm just going to try and do as much damage as I can here. Now, the Leman Russ is another tank you don't see very often, much like that Resilient, which, if you didn't know what the Resilient was, it's a tank that was sold, I believe, in October. Unfortunately, that shot didn't go through, so we didn't get any damage to the side of the E3, but it was a tank that was sold in October for Ukrainian relief efforts. And what a shot on the side of that Leman Russ. Just enough lead to be able to go into the side turret as he's moving perpendicularly from me. More shots into more tanks. AE Phase 1 takes a hit from me, and we're now almost at 4,000 damage. And the enemy team is kind of crawling back. Remember, we had a 10-7 lead, but now it is 7-6. Now we get to pen the side of the E3, and all of our tank destroyers that were over here in our spawn are now dead, and there's a lot of tanks here. And it's just me, a tier 8 tank destroyer, and my tier 8 light tank friend. I believe our other platoon mate is getting shots from where he is over on H4. And I wish I would have hit that Leman Russ there at that previous shot, but I do hit him there, and now he is one shot. But my light tank friend is doing a good job of trying to spot for us. There goes the Leman Russ. Would have been my kill and my extra damage had I penned that first round. But we're at 5,000 damage now. Now what? As I was saying though, that Resilient, I didn't get it myself because I thought they said it was going to end on the 27th of November, I believe, but somehow I misread things and then it went away before I got my paycheck in order to buy it. So I don't have a Resilient, but I don't know how it is. I haven't actually really looked at its stats. But it's just a tier 9 version of the tier 8 50 TP prototype or whatever that tier 8 Polish heavy premium is. With obviously increased stats for its increased tier. I took a stupid hit from that E4 or E3. I don't know why I did that, but it's 2 hold down E3s. And so I'm just waiting for a shot. The LHM, Scareface, takes out the lower health one, and I'm going to try and get a shot on the one with like 200, 300 HP so that I can get more damage out. But we've done 5,000 damage. As a tier 8 tank destroyer in a tier 10 game. It was encounter, so it did play weirdly, but I mean, we held our own, we pulled our own weight. I bounced the side of the E3 because I hit basically the side front of it. I didn't aim long enough, but our friend is going to turn and burn him, and I luckily didn't hit Scareface, but instead hit the E3 for our 4th kill of the match and 5,300 damage. And that puts us, wow, below the Tornvon, who I'm sure had some more spotting and tracking than us for that extra XP, but 2,033 base XP obviously does not go for an ace tanker in a new premium that not many people own yet. 2,033 base XP definitely would have been an ace tanker had this been a tank that was released for purchase at the beginning of the season and or more people had currently. Had I had this game maybe at the end of the season when more people finished their season pass and started playing this tank, that would have been an ace. So I'm fine with putting that in this video. Yes, it is a first class, but it should have been and would have been an ace. Either way, the tank's not bad. Enjoy your tank when you get your season pass finished, but look forward to the Japanese tank destroyers releasing later in the season on the 30th. If you're watching this after the 30th, well then expect or look on the channel for a review for the entire tank line, which, believe it or not, actually starts at tier 3. A full tank line for you to grind. I'm super excited. Either way, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one, and take care.